Hi. This is the first time I think we've ever gone live without testing anything at all. So
No test
how today's show
whatsoever. So
goes,
who
I don't
knows?
know. We'll see how it
It'll
goes.
be magic. We'll have a journey, perhaps. All right, ready to go?
You
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
you look somewhere interesting. Where are you?
I am visiting my parents in Las Vegas, so they're somewhere in there. I would have thought to try to drag them on show, but it was a little hectic over here. Hey, we're sponsored by StreamYard. You can make one of these shows your damn self. With or without a guest, if you want, you can just show up.
Well, we frequently do. So
We do. So StreamYard, cbrogan.net/StreamYard. Okay, let's grab our friend Annette, who's coming in right hot. So we'll see what happens. Hi, Annette.
Hi.
How was your journey to our stage today?
Oh, it was a full circle journey.
You made it. You made it. Annette, one of the things that we talked about a little while, and you've been a really contributing person in the community, in the audience for a very long time, but here you are up on stage. Talk a little bit about you've got a bunch of hats on, and one of the ones that I was going to start with is that you've done a lot of work with sabbaticals that comes from a kind of personal place. Why don't we start there? Talk a little bit about what got you to here.
Yeah, great. I have had the luxury and benefit of going on 3 sabbaticals. So 2011, I was on a medically induced sabbatical. That was my first sabbatical for 6 weeks. I was clinically diagnosed with burnout. My adrenals were failing. I was having some real health problems. And that 6-week period helped me regain my health. And I mean, it literally was life-giving. My second sabbatical was in 2019. And the theme of it was clarity for 2020 and beyond. It was initiated by my husband, who said, honey, I think you're doing really meaningful work, but I think it's soul crushing. Why don't you take a summer sabbatical? And I thought he was nuts. And I pushed back. And I was thick-headed, but it only took me a couple of days to see the light and see that he actually saw something I wasn't seeing.
he actually was right. They like when you leave the actually off.
Yeah.
So what does a sabbatical entail? That's 2 kind of on the
Yeah.
books. But what did you do?
So what is important about a sabbatical is you're ceasing to do what's routine. So you are being intentional by seeking something and letting go of what is your work, your typical daily life. And people that don't design an intention or a reason into their sabbatical typically run the clock without getting the benefits.
Right, because what you just said was you take a day off. That's what I heard, but maybe a lot of days off. What's the difference between time away from work and this intention that you design?
Yeah. So usually with sabbaticals, they can be for kind of big, higher purpose intentions. So a day off can give you a pause and can kind of help you reset, but a sabbatical is helping you do something more significant, more of a shift.
So are you intending then, Annette, to come back to what you were doing before the sabbatical, or is part of the purpose of the sabbatical to help you set a new course?
That's a great question. That can be one of the purposes, it can be rest and renewal and coming back. It can be doing research and coming back. It can also be sabbaticals are a wonderful way to transition and to be curious about what's next. So people can often take sabbaticals when they're going to change jobs. When some people don't call it a sabbatical and they call it a gap year. And people are now taking gap years at various times across their lifespan. Chip Conley is a great example of that. He didn't call it a sabbatical. He called it a gap year. And in his he went exploring, and he was trying to like wake up the inner Chip and what matters to him at that stage. So he went globally exploring and went to different events and festivals to kind of rediscover.
Not to put too fine a point on it, Annette, but how does one fund a gap year?
Oh, thank you. Great question. That's really important. There's a lot of people that think, oh, sabbaticals or a gap year sound fun, but how could I ever do it? I don't have that kind of money. I don't have the economics to support that. Well, that's what's creativity and innovation and constraints. People are doing gap years in very creative ways, taking sabbaticals in very creative ways. And one is where you go pick a place in the world and you go work, and you have basically kind of almost like a work study program. One of my friends, I'm in a global writing community now, and one of my friends did that. And what she did was look at different places in the world, and she became assistant innkeeper in Italy. So she left Tennessee and went to Italy, and she explored all kinds of options. She also explored goat herding in another country. But then when she studied goats, she was like, I don't like goat behavior, therefore it's not going to be a good fit.
I mean, maybe it was just those foreign goats. Maybe if she'd come back, the goats here would have been more like aligned with her culture.
No, based on what she explained to me and what I then followed up and found out about goats, I'm not even going to goat yoga.
Annette, tell me a little bit about how does one structure this stuff? How does somebody put together, all right, I'm horribly burned out. Miserable. Life sucks. I've got to do something for myself. I do this, then I do this, then I do this. What's the path?
Chris Brogan checking in from an airstrike happening.
I'm sorry, quick update. There's helicopters overhead every hour on the hour as they go back and forth to the Grand Canyon. My parents happen to accidentally be on a helicopter path.
Yeah. So how does one do it? So declaring an intention, being very specific about one or two objectives that they are trying to do. I'm working with somebody that she's doing it in layers. So she wants to write a book. And so she's planning for a year out so that she can take time off to go write her book. So we need a plan that helps her have writing and have some milestones towards that, but also looks at the bigger picture. Oh, hi, Ari. That is Dr. Ari. That's my daughter-in-law. Ari, I'm so glad that you could join us. Thank you.
So we were on the question of she needs a plan. She's going to go for a year. What's that look like? Does she get her bank account in order first? Does she make a map of the plan?
She's a business owner. So one thing that we do is we work collaboratively of how the work is going to get done. And she brings her team in, and we go around the table to map out what work needs to be done and who's going to do what. And it's a collaborative process, so that people really are suggesting ideas for how the work will get done. and everybody brings their knowledge and their experience of the business to the table. So you get a few different things going on in that participation. You get to get various different perspectives, and you get buy-in, and people are feeling seen and heard. So that will help her get the work done while she's away. Yes, depending on how you're going to fund it and where you're going to go, you get your budget in order. And then the most important thing that you're budgeting is your time. And it's very important during a sabbatical, no matter what the different type of sabbatical, whether it's a transition, writing a book, recovering from burnout, you need to have spaciousness in your time. So it's important to have some structured time, but it's equally important to have unstructured time, to be able to do things, to explore, to go for walks in nature, and do some of the things that spark your creativity and curiosity that complement what your mission is of your sabbatical.
Cool. So I know you've watched the show a whole lot. You've been here in the audience a whole lot. So hello in LA, Trish. So you know this could be a possibility.
And this question comes all the way from the second stall, the men's room at the Home Depot, just outside of Lansing. You know, I've never been able to locate a restroom at the Home Depot. Not a once. I just go in the drywall aisle. No one's around.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about you and your journaling and your art and the processes that you make. You send so many little visual notes to us all the time. There's so much going on. This is just a random thing on your LinkedIn saying, I can't do anything today. I had a sick day. Got to do stuff for me. Talk a little bit about how you've been using art to make your story or connect with the world and that sort of thing. What are you doing out there with all your work?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So my third sabbatical was my creative college, and I was given the creative college because of COVID. COVID lockdown sparked my writing, and my second sabbatical, I had found, actually, I have it handy, this journal, which says 1 sketch a day. And it was hilarious because my second sabbatical, I was gone for 5 months, but not gone completely. I would come in and out of my normal life. So I would travel away and then come home for a bit and travel away. So it also shows you that you can be creatively structured on a sabbatical. And what was hilarious was I went into a bookshelf in my house and I find this journal, and I had been making some really crude sketch notes in 2014, and I had not picked it up since then. And so, let's see. So it was mostly just kind of words.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, when I found it, I started making sketch notes. And like anything, you get better over time. You know, there's a lot of stickers and words in here.
Oh, nice.
And then flash forward to now, you know, like you showed the sick day one, but there's pictures, there's just different things going on. And it unlocks ideas for people. It makes complex ideas simpler and more accessible, for one. And then there's also the funny story of you, Chris, at one of our meetups on Zoom. We were talking about something, I think you were talking about something strategic and about integration or something. And I was describing human behavior and the complexity in the corporate C-suite. And you're like, what do you know about this? You're some California creative hippie chick, an artist.
That's exactly what I said. I remember. What do you know about corporate people? And you like, you don't know what I've done, do you? And we went on another whole layer. Carrie, I've been
Yeah.
hogging it. I'm so sorry, Carrie.
You went on a journey. What if, hypothetically speaking, one sucks at drawing and they they want to unlock their creativity?
Oh, the thing about it is, well, a friend of mine wrote a book on visual leadership, and he has this funny acronym, ICD. I can't draw. All of us can draw. Start with this. Yeah, stick figures. Exactly. Steve Brogan, your dad has the answer. That's the answer. All of us can draw. And what's so funny is you start with stick figures and then you can get curious and you can pull up clip art. You can get all kinds of inspiration. But if you do something a little bit every day, you get better at it.
I mean, better than terrible is still terrible. Like, marginally less terrible. So, how often do you think a sabbatical is in order for the average professional today?
Oh, you're going to get the answer. It depends. And the thing that it really does, part of it is life stages, part of it is what you're doing. So from a timing standpoint, I would say it takes a minimum period of setting aside a month. So that's
Like,
one
for the sabbatical, like, to be on sabbatical, a
to
minimum of
be
a
on
month,
sabbatical. I would
but
really
planning
say,
it takes longer.
well, planning it actually may not take a really long amount. My doctor constructed something for me very fast in 2011. It was amazing what she realized I needed to do and just put it into action once I got the approval. The question, Carrie, though, is how often would one take one? So if you're in a really fast-paced, all-on environment, it could be something that you try to do every few years. Oh, I missed his comment.
Oh, I'll bring it up. It was about journaling. I didn't want to.
It
So,
goes from terrible to
Papa
just horrible.
Brogan, I could go from terrible to just horrible progress. That's, yeah.
And if
When
it makes you feel good, you don't necessarily have to show your work to anyone.
But, you have to look at it yourself.
Very good point. Annette, I just read something 2 days ago. I lied. I saw a video and then I wrote it down. So this person had an idea about how journaling can work. And there's so many ways. And they talked about all the ones, morning pages, gratitude journals, all that stuff. This idea was interesting. They said one of the points of journaling is to get better at your actions. The way to get better at actions is to get better at decisions. The way to get better at decisions is to do better with thoughts and emotions, thoughts and feelings. And so the point was your journal is the fuel for thoughts and feelings to get better at decisions to help you make better actions. How does that resonate?
100%. So I'm really glad that they got into thoughts and feelings. I will say that I think most Americans in corporate life don't have sustainable practices of reflection. And journaling and understanding, these are ways of heightening your self-awareness and understanding, and also pattern recognition. So part of, and that was part of where journaling complements sabbaticals, is having the spaciousness to reflect on where you've been in life and what your experiences have been, give you insights into, oh my gosh, if I'm in this situation, I typically behave this way. Well, sometimes that serves you. Sometimes it's actually not serving you, and you can see the pattern and you now have the awareness to do things differently.
So it's okay if you suck at drawing. Do you bring your journal with you on sabbatical? Is that like an important part of the process?
Yeah. In fact, on Monday, I will be taking now what it has turned out a pattern I didn't recognize. This will be the 3rd May. I'm taking a May mini sabbatical month. And this will go with me, as will my morning pages journal that also has some gratitudes in it. One of your guests has also been a mentor to me, Lynn Twist. And last fall, Lynn suggested gratitudes. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's a good idea, but I never quite am consistent about it. And she broke it down into this: write 6 at night and 2 in the morning. And when I heard it defined like that, I was like, I can do that. In fact, I'll do 7 at night and 2 every morning. And sometimes I miss. And when I miss in the morning, I write PM gratitudes in the AM. And I could really say that I think it infuses a little more hope into navigating the times we're in.
Lynn Twist is the author of Living a Committed Life. We had her on back in December of 2022. So it's cool. It's a cool callback. We should see. Has she written anything new lately? Should we get her back on?
Oh, she is doing very interesting work. So I traveled with her over 6 months virtually, and then in what was called the Sophia Circle. So she is empowering women who want to make an impact with their lives. So she's helping them use a lot of what she wrote about in Living a Committed Life, to take a stand, to believe in what they can do differently. How you figure that out, part of it is reflecting on life and what your highs and lows are and what you're good at. But 2 of her questions that really complement this way of being are: what breaks your heart and what makes your heart sing?
So seems like 2 pretty good questions to think about in your journal while you plan your next sabbatical.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly.
just doing a little behind the scenes trying to search, and of course I can't find the thing that I thought was a passingly interesting detail that I should have saved somewhere and didn't. I just read an actual like medical research study kind of a page, not some cool health site with a bunch of yoga people on it, but a site that was like there were 2 groups, 91 people. Some of these facts could be total lies, but in two groups, one control, one about gratitude. The ones who journaled about gratitude had higher performance on simple tests that they were given afterwards, had incredibly better heart rates and general health stats just by gratitude. That's the only difference in the whole study. They all ate the same things, did the same things throughout this span of time. And when I read that, I have a passing love-hate with gratitude journals. I don't do it. And then I read that and I was like, okay, it's science. I guess I have to now. You don't wait for science all the time, do you? In that you're working kind of on an intuiting level a lot of times, it seems.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that was really super beneficial. The second sabbatical, I had enough spacious time, and I had been an on again, off again journaler. And I picked up that habit again. I started getting the insights of what my inner drivers were. Once I got clear on my inner drivers, I am able now to do things that feel like a hunch, but it really is aligned with my inner drivers. And because I have a transformation map that I share with my husband, I can change on a dime. Like last year, I was going to South by Southwest in a week, and I had a kitchen conversation with him on a Friday morning, and I said, Bob, I really need to go to the Equality Lounge. It's this weekend. The only way for me to get there by this weekend is to leave today. And he's like, makes sense. How can I help you? I said, I need a hotel room. It's going to be hard at South by Southwest to get a hotel room. So he was on it. He drove me in a storm to the airport. I took a red eye, got there, met Shelley Zallis, learned all kinds of things and all kinds of tools so that I could help the people, the leaders I'm trying to serve. And she's on a global mission of creating wage parity across the globe. She and her mighty team at the Female Quotient. So things like that are magic. And I would attribute that to the serendipity that happens when you're clear on your internal drivers and where you're trying to go. And it happened last week also with Carrie. So last week, I got to hear Jane. I saw Fazia chatting, and then Carrie was calling out Fazia. I had an extra ticket for a literary event at the Grand Del Mar for this author, and this isn't my genre. And I DM'd Fazia and I said, I have this extra ticket. Would you like to go to this literary event? She goes, I'm never here on Friday. I'm here today. Yes, I'll meet you at noon.
Amazing. Like it's meant to be.
Yes.
And I'm jealous.
Love it. I spoke at the Grand Del Mar once too. So look at that, just circle after circle. It's I went there for an event with Oracle a million years ago. As we're wrapping up, Annette, one thing I was thinking about was you've been in the crowd with us, part of this community for a while. You've seen a lot of good and interesting things go in and out of the gratitude journal. Out of the backpack. I am working on no sleep. I'm sorry. I'm really curious to ask you that question. First, we're going to give a person of the day. Well, there's only one dude who could be person of the day because he's like 80% of the comments. So a little nepotism, but I'm going to give it to my dad.
Go shoplift an apple.
Yeah, go get it. So we're going to ask you the same question we've asked everyone we've ever had on the show, which is, what goes in the backpack? So that could be, as you know, a piece of fruit. It could be serendipity. What are you going to throw in the backpack today, Annette?
I am going to throw compassion in the backpack. And I'm going to be really clear that it needs to be an inside job. It needs to begin within, because it's hard to practice compassion with others when we beat ourselves up, when that inner critic is living inside. But if we can also feed the inner coach and the inner curiosity, we can be more compassionate with ourselves, and that spreads joy and more compassion with others.
I like it. That's a good ad for us. I was thinking about the last time I was at South by Southwest. There was rain involved there too, and I had to go present at this big event, and the worst thing happened.